Morning, everyone. Welcome to yoga. And let's go ahead and start out with a little bit of a meditation. So, however, you'd like to start out, I would suggest if you'd like, you could come into what's called constructive rest pose. So, that's just lying on your back. Allow your feet to walk as wide as the mat and allow the knees to tent together. Then you can rest your arms at your sides, or you might even allow your arms to rest on your belly. Allow your chin to gently tuck towards your chest. And then just start to focus on your breath. You can release any thoughts of the past, any plans for the future. And I'm just going to pull a few quotes from this book, The Yamas and the Niyamas. It's Exploring Yoga's Ethical Practice by Deborah Adele. And this month's theme for April 2021 is called Brahmacharya, and it's about non-excess. So it says the fourth jewel, Brahmacharya, literally means walking with God and invites us into an awareness of the sacredness of all of life. This guideline is a call to leave greed and excess behind and walk in this world with wonder and awe, practicing non-excess and attending to each moment as holy. Brahmacharya reminds us each day and each action with a sense of holiness rather than indulgence. To enter each day in each action with a sense of holiness. So thinking about non-excess, I've been really struggling with this myself with some food allergies that I'm dealing with and kind of giving up the things that maybe we associate sometimes with emotions or pleasures. Another great quote from the book is, why do we move past a place of enough into excess? And yogic thought tells us it is because our mind begins to connect a certain emotional state with certain foods or activities. So at this moment, I'd like you to just think about an intention for your practice. Something you'd either like to release or something you'd like to cultivate in your life. Maybe you want to practice brahmacharya, non-excess. Whatever intention speaks to you, go ahead and bring that to mind. And then allow that intention to plant itself at your heart center. We'll begin to invite a little bit of movement into the body. So you can allow your knees to fall over to the left. And then your gaze can fall over to the right. Inhale, you can bring the knees and the gaze back to center. And then exhale, windshield wiper the knees to the opposite side and the gaze over to the left. And go ahead and follow the pace of your own breath. You can windshield wiper the knees and the gaze from side to side. You might think about not pushing past your own physical limits. Just finding a place of comfort and sensation in the body without overdoing it. We'll take one more round on each side. And then you can go ahead and come back to center. Let's go ahead and bring the knees towards the chest, and you can give yourself a gentle hug, maybe rocking a little side to side. Let's bring our hands on top of our knees and then go ahead and make a little circle with the knees. You might find a nice gentle massage for the low back. Breathing into the sensations And when you're ready, you can reverse the direction of that circle. Let's take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll come back to stillness, and you can go ahead and come into a reverse tabletop, so an upside down tabletop. Pressing your low back towards the mat. You can press your palms up towards the sky, and then imagine your knees are planted on the ceiling. You can stay right here, or if you'd like a little more challenge for your core, on your next inhale, reach your right arm up past your ear, and then float your left leg long. Go ahead and exhale, bring it back to center. And inhale, we'll reverse. Left arm is long, right leg extends. Exhale, bring it back to center. And you can take a few rounds, alternating from side to side. Continue pressing the low back towards the mat and tucking the chin gently towards the chest. Go ahead and take one more round on each side. And then when you're ready, you can return your feet to the mat. Allow your arms to rest at your sides. And then we'll shift the hips over towards the left and allow the knees to fall over to the right. And you can roll onto your right side. Either rest your head on your bicep or cradle your head onto your hand. And then with your heels glued together, let's go ahead and inhale, lifting and lowering the left knee. So we're coming into a few rounds of clamshells. Finding some engagement in the outer left hip. Keeping everything pretty still. You're not rolling your body or your torso open. And then when you're ready, we'll glue the knees together and begin to lift and lower the left heel. You might just notice where the sensation changes with this action. And then when you're ready, we'll close down the feet, and then you can extend the chest open, reaching the arms in both directions for your twist. You're welcome to stay in your twist and just enjoy the sensation, sending the gaze over towards the left fingertips. Or if you'd like to do some engagement of the obliques, go ahead and interlace the hands behind the head, and you can start to pulse the nose up towards the ceiling. And if you'd like to make this a little bit more challenging, with your heels glued together, you can gently lift them off of the ground to hover. And whenever you're ready, you can release that movement and just really relax into the twist. If you'd like to deepen the twist, you might extend your right leg long, allow your left knee to float over to the ground. And we'll take one more nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and roll onto your back, hugging your knees into your chest. You might extend your nose up towards your knees, stretching through the upper back. And then exhale to release that. And we'll roll onto our left side now. So either cradling your head onto your hand or onto your bicep, you can glue the knees together, the heels together, and start to lift and lower the right knee. Sending some nice deep breaths into the outer hip and finding the engagement in your glutes. Whenever you're ready, you can stop that movement and glue the knees together and then begin to lift and lower the right heel. If you find your thoughts are starting to wander, you might come back to that seat of intention. Whenever you're ready, we'll stop that movement and then open up the heart and the chest, reaching the right arm over to the right, coming into a gentle twist. And we can do that same oblique engagement on this side, interlacing the hands behind the head and then pulsing the nose up towards the sky. And if you'd like to make it a little bit more intense, you could lift the heels to hover. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and gently relax into the twist, extending the arms out to the sides, maybe sending the gaze over to the right. You might even extend the left leg long and allow the right knee to float down towards the ground if you'd like a deeper twist. Take another nice deep breath here, and then we'll bring the knees towards the chest and roll onto the back. You can bring the knees towards the armpit and then walk the hands up to the shins or the outer edges of the feet and find happy baby pose. Maybe gently rocking a little side to side. It might feel good to extend one leg long as the opposite knee comes to the ground. And then whenever you're ready, we'll release the feet down to the mat. You can pivot onto your right hip, roll onto your right side, and press yourself up into a seat. However feels comfortable for you. If you have a pillow or a blanket, you might like to wedge that underneath your seat, just so that your sit bones are cascading off of the edge. And then we'll come into a cross-legged seat or a wide-legged seat. And from here, let's inhale our arms up overhead. Interlace the fingers, press the palms up towards the sky. And then on the next exhale, you can allow the hands to gently float down in front. Sensing the movement of your shoulders. Let's go ahead and bring the hands onto the knees, and then you can inhale to roll the shoulders up towards the ears, and exhale, allow the shoulder blades to cascade down the back. Go ahead and take a few moments of rolling your shoulders up towards the ears, and exhale them down the back. You might begin to toggle one shoulder at a time. Really inviting the breath into the shoulders. When you're ready, you can reverse the toggle. This time, bringing the shoulders up from behind and rounding down in front. And then when you're ready, we'll sync up the movement. So draw the shoulder blades together. Bring the shoulders up towards the ears, and then exhale, allow them to round down in front. Let's take a few more like this. And one more round. And you can come to stillness. Allow the shoulders to melt away from the ears. And then we'll allow the right ear to melt towards the right shoulder. And you might find a nice gentle stretch along the left side. Imagine your breath like the wave of an ocean, soothing out the left side of the neck all the way into the shoulder. And you might gently begin to nod your head yes, inviting in new opportunities, and shake your head no, releasing that which does not serve you. And then we'll bring the chin towards the shoulder, and then you can allow the chin to trace the front of the chest, slowly and gently bringing the left ear towards the left shoulder. Find stillness here, allowing the breath to cascade down the right side of the neck, from the ear all the way to the shoulder. And then gently you can shake your head no. Really slowly, just noticing the sensations in the neck. And then maybe gently nod the head yes. And then we'll bring the chin towards the shoulder, and you can allow the chin to trace the front of the chest, back to the right side. Exhale, chin to chest, bringing it over to the left side. And let's go one more time on each side. And then we'll go ahead and come back to center now. Inhale, bring the arms up overhead and look up. And then exhale, let's bring the right hand down to the right side. You can press into the ground or into a block. And then arch the left fingertips overhead. You might gaze up at your left hand. With the next exhale, you can bring the left fingertips out in front, reaching over to the right. And then inhale, reach the hand back up overhead. Go ahead and take that movement 2 more times. Exhale, reach it out in front. Inhale, sweep the hand up overhead. And one more time. With your next inhale, we'll sweep both hands up overhead, reaching up towards the sky, looking up. And then exhale, bring the left hand down, pressing it on the mat. Arch the left or the right fingertips up overhead, and you might gaze up. With the next exhale, we'll float the right fingertips out in front, reaching over to the left side. Inhale, sweep it back up overhead. Exhale, reach the hands over. Inhale, sweep the right hand up. And one more time like this. And then on your next inhale, we'll sweep both hands up overhead. And one more time, interlace your fingers, press your palms up towards the sky. And then on the next exhale, you can allow the hands to float down in front. Just noticing the movements of your shoulders, maybe how this sensation has changed with all of this different movement. And when you're ready, we're going to come up onto hands and knees. So you can either roll over the fronts of your shins or spin your feet around, maybe to the right. You have a cushion underneath you. You might move it off to the side. But if you do have that blanket and you want a pad for your knees, you can bring a folded blanket under the knees to offer a little bit more support and padding, if that feels good. So coming on to hands and knees, let's plant the palms underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. And on your next inhale, you can drop the belly, rounding the spine down towards the ground for cow pose. Exhale, round the spine up, drawing the belly in towards the spine for cat. Go ahead and take a few rounds of cat and cow, following the pace of your own breath. And if it's hard to be on the wrists, you can always come onto fists, or you could even try this movement onto your forearms. Another variation that I sometimes like if my wrists are giving me any kind of trouble is to come onto blocks on my forearms. From here, you might begin to explore other movements, maybe drawing a circle with your belly button. Imagining you are tracing the inside of a hula hoop. And if you find that there are any points that need special attention, you might hold that space for a moment, sending deep breaths into any areas of tension or holding. You can feel free to reverse the direction of your circle, just to take a moment with gratitude to marvel at the design of your perfect body. All the different directions that the spine can move. Whenever you're ready, we'll meet up in a neutral spine. I'm going to walk my blocks off to the sides and then bring your big toes to touch. Open the knees wide, sink the hips back. You can walk the hands out in front for child's pose. Maybe you allow your forehead to rest on the mat. And just send the breath into the shoulders, the upper back, any areas of sensation, and allow that tension to melt off of the back like water off of a duck's back. You can release all tension or holding, allowing yourself to feel fully supported by the earth. If you'd like to explore a side bend here, feel free to walk your hands over to the right, reaching your left arm long. You might bend into your right elbow and send your gaze underneath your right armpit, maybe resting on the left temple. Allowing the breath to cascade down the left side from the fingertips, all along the side waist, down to the hip. And then when you're ready, we'll walk the hands over towards the left this time. Maybe bending into the left elbow. You can reach the right arm long and perhaps send the gaze over underneath the left armpit. Imagine the breath is cascading from the right fingertips down the right side. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to center. You could take one more nice deep breath in your child's pose. And then when you're ready, we'll come up onto the forearms. And let's extend the right leg back, tucking the toes under. You can begin to press the heel towards the mat, finding a nice stretch through the calf, the back of the leg, as you press the heel in the direction of the mat. From here, we're going to step that right foot over to the left, so crossing the body. You might begin to walk the forearms over to the left and find a side bend here. When you're ready, we'll walk the hands back to center, walk the foot back over to the right, and then go ahead and bring the right knee back underneath the hip. You can extend the left leg long now, tucking the toes under, pressing the heel towards the mat, finding a lengthening through the back of the calf. Imagine the breath cascading down the back of the leg. And then we'll find that same side bend. This time, step the foot over across the body towards the right. And then you can walk the hands over to the right. You might even gaze back at your right, or at your left heel, I should say. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to center, bringing both knees onto the mat. You can either walk the knees back for a forearm plank, or you can tuck the toes under, extending the heels back. So whichever version feels best for you. Drawing the belly towards the spine. In your plank, you might decide to cultivate gratitude. Thinking about all the things in your life that you're grateful for as you hold this plank position. Engaging with the core, you might find yourself a little bit shaky as your muscles engage. And then whenever you're ready, you can lower your belly onto the mat. And we'll keep the elbows underneath the shoulders. Press the palms into the mat as you open the heart for Sphinx pose. You might energetically drag the palms back as you reach the heart forward, finding a gentle back bend. On your next inhale, you might roll your shoulders up towards your ears and then allow the shoulder blades to cascade down the back. On your next exhale, we'll turn the gaze to the left and extend the arms behind you. And for me, I need to tuck my toes under a little bit, pressing my chest forward so that I can reach my temple to the mat. And then untuck your toes, allow your temple to rest. Soften all of your effort. With the next inhale, we'll lift the gaze, lifting the heart, lifting the arms and the legs for locust pose. So your gaze is right off of the tip of the nose in front of the mat. Imagine you're a flying superhero floating over the earth, using the strength of the spine and the core to keep you lifted. And then with your next exhale, we'll turn the gaze over to the right this time. Soften all of your effort, maybe slide your chest a little bit forward by tucking your toes under and pressing your chest forward as your temple reaches towards the mat. You can untuck the toes and soften all of your effort. Allow yourself to delight in this time of rest. Now, if there's anything beside your mat, any props, you can move them out of the way. We're going to bring the arms out into a letter T shape, and you can creep the left fingertips behind you as you roll onto your left side. Hopefully you'll find a nice opening for the shoulder, from the chest. You can allow the legs to stack here. Or if you'd like to try deepening the stretch, you might bend into your right knee, the top leg, and maybe plant the right foot behind you. Another nice variation that I found is to bend into that right knee and reach down with my right hand to grasp hold of the ankle and allow the right knee to float down towards the left knee to find a nice stretch for the quad. And you can flex the toes towards the knee, finding a bit of engagement with the legs. And with your next exhale, if you're in this bind, go ahead and release the foot. We'll roll back onto the belly. And then with your right hand down, you can creep the right fingertips behind you as you roll onto the right side. Allow the right temple to rest on the mat. And you can stay here with the legs stacked, or maybe bend into the left knee. Plant the left foot behind you for a deeper twist. Or perhaps you reach down and grasp hold of your left ankle with your left hand. And just allow that left knee to melt towards the right knee. Finding a nice stretch in the quad. You can keep the legs active by flexing the toes towards the knees. Notice how you can balance your effort and your ease. And with your next exhale, we'll release the foot and then roll onto the belly. You can plant the palms underneath the shoulders and tuck the toes under and press up either through table or plank. And then we'll come into table pose if you've been in your plank. And you might bring some blocks for a little bit more support. Let's tuck the toes under, and then you can walk the feet back, coming to sit on your heels in a tiptoe squat. So, well, actually it's broken toe pose. It's not really a tiptoe squat. So your toes are tucked under, finding a stretch through the undersides of the feet. Here, I'll move this way so you can see. Maybe you keep some of your weight on the blocks if it's too intense for your toes. As you send breath down to your feet, you might offer your feet gratitude for all the places they take you. Just taking a moment to check in. And then when you're ready, well, come forward, untucking the toes. You can give them a gentle tap And then we'll come onto our seats. So your feet are forward, and you're on your seat, your knees are bent towards the sky. And we might try boat pose here. So you can bring your hands maybe out in front and stay right here. Or if you'd like to try and find a little balance, you can walk your heels in as you bring your hands behind your thighs and find a little bit of balance on the tailbone, engaging with the core. Maybe you bring your shins up to parallel. You might reach your hands out in front, finding whichever version of boat pose works for you today. With your next exhale, go ahead and land your feet, and then you can slide the hands back behind you with the fingers facing the hips or pointing towards the hips. Your palms are underneath your shoulders now. We're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then when you're ready, you can lift the hips for altar pose. You might send your gaze at your belly button, perhaps up towards the sky, or maybe allow the gaze to fall behind you. Whenever you're ready, you can lower your hips down, and then once more, reach the hands out in front. And then you can begin to bring yourself down onto your back, maybe a few centimeters at a time, engaging with the core until you're ready to relax onto your back. If you have a blanket under you, you might slide that out of the way. And then we're going to take figure 4 pose. If you prefer pigeon, you can always come into pigeon in any way you'd like, but figure 4 is just like pigeon on your back. So you're going to bring your left ankle, I should say, on top of your right thigh. And then you can wrap maybe a strap, or it could be really any kind of fabric behind your right thigh to draw the shape into your chest. You could also do this pose at a couch or with the help of a wall or a table. And that would look like bringing the left ankle still on top of the right thigh, but then maybe just using a wall to support you instead of having to grasp behind your thigh. So I have my right foot on the couch cushion. Send some nice deep breaths into the outer left hip. And whenever you're ready, we can switch sides. So you can bring both feet back to the mat, cross the right ankle over the left thigh, and then draw the shape into the body, either interlacing the hands behind the left thigh, or maybe using a strap. Or if you have a wall space, you can always rest your left foot on the wall, maybe a couch cushion or a chair. Allow that right knee to fall away from the body, finding a stretch in the outer right hip. We're going to get ready for our final resting pose, Shavasana. So feel free to take any last shapes that you'd like before your final rest. And when you're ready for Shavasana, you can cozy up with a blanket, maybe place a bolster or pillows underneath the knees. You might find something to block the light from your eyes, like draping a cushion over your eyelids. Whenever you're ready for your final resting pose, allow yourself to revisit your intention for your practice once more today. You can bring that intention to mind. And I'll just pull another quote about brahmacharya, non-excess. I have found that when the sense of wonder leaves me, when everything becomes dull and ordinary, it is because I have kept too fast a pace for too long. I have pushed past my own boundaries, and now I am out of balance. It is time to rest. And when I am rested, nothing is dull or ordinary. Everything glows with mystery. Whether I take it easy for a day or escape into the woods by myself, it is hard to give this rest to myself. There are 1,000,001 reasons why I can't. My ego likes to feel important, and it doesn't feel very important when I am resting. My ego also doesn't like the idea that life can go on without me, even if it's only for a few hours. I like to be where the action is. Besides, in this culture of constant activity, there is always so much that needs to be done. But resting rejuvenates my sense of mystery. Maybe you can allow yourself this time to rest, noticing where you can soften your effort, relaxing the forehead, relaxing the jaw, smoothing out any areas in the body that are trying to work, maybe allowing the shoulders to melt away from the ears. Feel the rise and support of the ground beneath you, the earth supporting you in all your endeavors and supporting you also in this time of rest. We can allow the concept of brahmacharya, non-excess, to give us time and space to wonder at the world, to bring us back to the present moment, to allow us to balance our effort with our ease. And because this is your very own practice, you can feel free to rest as long as you'd like in this final resting pose, Shavasana. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.